The crash had torn through the canopy like a meteor, leaving a scar of scorched earth and twisted metal across the hunting grounds of Keshtar Prime. Lieutenant Saren Vale dragged herself from the wreckage, her combat suit torn, blood seeping through the synthetic weave at her shoulder and thigh. Every breath was fire, every movement a negotiation with consciousness. She had maybe an hour before the plasma burns killed her. Maybe less. The forest was silent in that predatory way that made her instincts scream. This was a Keshtar world, home to the galaxy's most feared apex species. 4-meter-tall carnivores with obsidian claws, triple rows of serrated teeth, and a reputation for collecting the skulls of worthy prey. Her diplomatic mission had been supposed to avoid their hunting territories. So much for that. Saren collapsed against a massive tree trunk, its bark rough as iron against her back. She fumbled for her medkit. Found it crushed. Of course, her sidearm was gone too. Probably scattered across half a kilometer of debris field. She laughed, a wet, painful sound. Humanity had conquered 36 star systems, but she was going to die because of a faulty nav computer and bad luck. A twig snapped. Her head jerked up. Through the haze of pain, she saw them. Cubs, 3 Keshtar juveniles, barely taller than her, their obsidian scales still showing the mottled patterns of youth. They emerged from the undergrowth with the uncertain gait of adolescence learning to hunt. Their yellow eyes wide with curiosity. The smallest one, his scales bearing a distinctive crimson marking across his snout, approached first. Saren tried to move, to make herself look bigger, more threatening. The movement sent agony lancing through her side. She gasped, vision swimming. The cub froze. Then, impossibly, he lowered his head. His nostrils flared, scenting her blood, her fear. His companions flanked him, forming a semicircle. This was it, she thought, torn apart by children. But the crimson-marked cub, Ravax, didn't strike. Instead, he settled onto his haunches between her and the forest, his body a living barrier. His companions took positions on either side, their young claws extended, heads swiveling to scan the darkness. They were protecting her? Saren's tactical training screamed that this made no sense. Keshtar were apex predators. They didn't protect prey. They certainly didn't protect aliens. Yet here sat Ravax, his tail coiled around her leg with surprising gentleness, his growl a low rumble in his chest that vibrated through the ground. Hours passed in a fever dream. She faded in and out, each time waking to find the cubs still there, still vigilant. Once, something large moved in the shadows, something that made even these young predators tense. Ravax's growl deepened to a roar that belied his size. The thing in the darkness retreated. The cubs shared something between themselves, a stringy piece of meat from a recent kill. One tried to offer her a piece. She was too weak to explain that humans couldn't eat raw Keshtar game. The cub looked almost offended when she refused. Dawn broke with the sound of wings. Not wings, Saren realized through her delirium. Engines. The elite guard arrived like falling stars. 6 massive Keshtar warriors in ceremonial armor that had been old when Earth was still learning to forge iron. They moved through the forest with the confidence of apex predators who had never known defeat, led by Commander Thaxikor, whose scarred hide spoke of 1,000 battles. They found the crash site first, analyzed the trajectory, and followed the blood trail. What they discovered made even these hardened warriors stop in their tracks. 3 cubs, barely past their first molting, had formed a defensive perimeter around a dying human. The smallest, Ravax, crouched directly over the alien female, his body shielding hers completely. His scales were flared in a threat display, his young fangs bared at the approaching warriors, his eyes wild with protective fury. "Stand down, whelp," Thaxikor commanded, his voice the rumble of avalanches. "We are the elite guard." See, Ravax didn't move. His growl intensified, and his companions shifted closer, backing his defiance. Commander Thaxikor's 4 eyes widened in disbelief. A cub, barely old enough to hunt, was refusing a direct order from the elite guard, over a human, no less. The galaxy's most dangerous warriors, reduced to intruders by a child's protective instinct. The human is dying, Thaxacor said, gentler now, recognizing something ancient in the cub's stance. We have medical technology. We can save her. Ravax's tail tightened around Siren's leg. He understood the words. But trust was harder than understanding. His nostrils flared, scenting the air, reading the warrior's intent through pheromones and body language that Siren's kind could never fully grasp. She tried to give us her food. Ravax finally spoke, his voice a cub's squeak trying to be fierce. When she had nothing. She made no move to harm us, though we could have ended her easily. She is. He struggled for the word in the ancient tongue. Pack. The elite guard exchanged glances. Pack. The most sacred word in Keshtar culture. It transcended species, transcended everything. It was the bond that made them more than simple predators. Commander Thaxacor lowered himself to one knee, bringing his massive frame down to the cub's level. It was a gesture of profound respect, one rarely given to anyone, never to a juvenile. Then we honor your claim, young Ravax, he said formally. The human is under the protection of your pack, and therefore under the protection of the elite guard. We will treat her as we would treat our own blood. End of quote. Only then did Ravax step aside, though his eyes never left the warriors as they moved forward with their medical equipment. Siren felt strange hands lift her, felt the cold bite of injections, the warm spread of healing nanites through her bloodstream. Through the haze, she saw Ravax watching, saw the cub's defensive posture only relaxing when her vital signs stabilized. Foolish whelp, one of the guards muttered, not unkindly. Protecting an alien over your own kind. She is not alien, Ravax replied with the absolute certainty of youth. She is pack. Lieutenant Saren Vale woke 3 days later in a Keshtar medical facility, covered in honor marks she didn't understand, with a juvenile predator sleeping at the foot of her bed. When she asked what happened, the doctors showed her the footage. She watched a cub refuse to abandon her. Watched him face down the galaxy's most elite warriors. Watched him claim her as pack. Humanity had always wondered what would make the Keshtar respect them as equals. Apparently, the answer was simple. Be worth protecting, even by their smallest and weakest, especially by their smallest and weakest, because that's when protection means the most.